way your skin, girl, you should be in a commercial. Never stingy, we smoke, always sharing your personal earth tone.
From the basement of the beautiful Chrysler building, where we get free Wi-Fi because we guessed the password of the subway below us, this is the Scammies, where each episode we look at a scam. What's a scam? It's a trick. It's a ploy designed to take your money. Our job is to make you a little bit smarter so you can keep more of your own money. I'm your host, Michael Robertson. You know, most scams are looking for a vulnerable population to target. Maybe they're looking for those in cognitive decline like Joe Biden. They can call them up and tell them that their lost cousin is in jail, needs bail money, or there's been a bank error. And still other scammers are looking for those that are highly leveraged with too much credit card debt or burying in student loan debt, looking for any way out. Well, this scam targets teens. Now, I know you're thinking, teens? Why would you target teens? They don't have any money. And it's true, they don't have any money, but they have access to future money in the form of loans from the government to go to college. And, of course, the parents' money. And that's why this scammy goes to American universities for college scholarships. Whoa, now I know what you're thinking. College scholarships? How could scholarships be a scam? They're free money given to people to go to college to improve their lives. Well, let me explain. The first thing to recognize is that everything in this world is a business. That walk for breast cancer, that's a business. Your church, that's a business. Schools, local schools, universities, they're all businesses. They all have to bring in enough money to pay all their bills. If they don't, they go out of business. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a second. Businesses, they're designed to generate profits. But nonprofits, they're not designed to generate a profit. But they are. I've never met a nonprofit, whether it's a charity or a school, that doesn't have growth prospects. They want to get bigger. They want to serve more people. And how do you get bigger? Well, you have to bring in more money than you spend. That's profits. Really, the only difference between a Costco and Walmart and a university or a church is how they're taxed by the government. Nonprofits, they get a tax break. But the next thing to know is that the university business is huge. $670 billion a year. To put that in perspective, the entire auto industry, Ford, Toyota, Tesla, all of them, put them all together, they're only $82 billion a year. So American universities are 8 times larger than the automotive industry. And not only are they large, but they're also highly lucrative, very profitable. It's estimated that instruction in universities has a 60% profit margin. For every dollar they bring in, they're making 60 cents because it's really cheap to educate. You stick one instructor 3 hours a week for a class in front of 30, 50, 100. I had classes with 300 people. That's really profitable. That's why you hear very few universities going bankrupt. Now, of course, there are other costs besides just the instructor. There's room and board and buildings and parking. But most of those costs, they just pass right on to the student and have a profit margin built into that too. But that doesn't make them a scam, right? It's okay to have a lucrative business. What makes college scholarships a scam is their deceptive marketing and sales techniques. Now, I know you've all seen that mattress discounter or the low budget jewelry store that has the big signs in the window that says everything 45% off, 60% off. Well, that's exactly what universities are doing, but they're doing it in a much more sly way. You know, when you're going to college, it's a very emotional time. It's emotional because your little bird is leaving the nest. Parents are emotional. Of course, the teens are emotional. And American universities take advantage of that very vulnerable time. That's why people are taking advantage of weddings and funerals too, because it's very emotional. You allow your emotions to take over your decision, or at least influence your decision-making process. And so what these American universities do is they say, you know what, we like your Rachel or your Aston so much that we're going to give you a college scholarship because they're so special, because they're a good swimmer or midfield soccer player, or maybe they have the right skin color or the right heritage, or even they're a good video game player. Yeah, there's colleges that have video game scholarships. Now, do they really care about your soccer prowess or your Call of Duty kill ratio? Of course not. No. With the exception of basketball and football, where colleges get huge TV revenue, everything else, college scholarship, is simply a marketing technique, a sales technique. They know if they tell that student, you have a college scholarship, that they'll tell their parents, their grandparents, their relatives, their church. They'll tell their coaches, their students, their friends, and tie them to that university and make it far more likely that they attend that university. But here's where the deviousness comes in, the deception, in that scholarship they're giving, they'll give to anybody for almost anything. How do we know this? Well, in 2021, it was a real milestone for American universities. For the first time, incoming freshmen paid less than half, the average incoming freshman paid less than half of the stated tuition. Right? If that tuition was $40,000 a year, they paid less than 20. It's the first time that that's happened. And that's because they're giving scholarships to everyone. And this is why it's deceptive. When retailers mark up their products and then pretend like they're giving a discount, that's deception. In fact, a lot of businesses have been busted for that. Well, Amazon was recently busted for this, and the Consumer Watchdog said the following: a company cannot claim it's discounting something from a certain price when virtually nobody charges that amount. Well, that's exactly what universities are doing. They're setting this very high, artificially high price, and then telling parents and students, you're so special that you and just you get this very special discount. But in fact, they give that to everyone. This is simply a marketing ploy. Every university has a business department designed to take the most money they can from students. And so what can be done here? Well, students and parents, probably more parents, need to get far more savvy about their college decision. Now, it's estimated that the total cost for attending college in the United States now is $400,000. Now, I know you're thinking, $400,000? College tuitions aren't $100,000 a year. And that's true. But you have to look at all the cost. The room, the board, the tuition, the fees, the parking. Some universities, like many in California, even require them to buy medical insurance, very costly medical insurance. And when you add all those costs in, plus the cost of interest on money that you borrow and lost income because you're at school and you're not working, that cost is $400,000. And the sad reality is that for more than half of the students attending college, they will not increase their earnings by more than $400,000 over their lifetime. That means it's a bad decision, traditional college. And that's why it's a scam. And so what can parents do? Well, they can be far more savvy about college and treat it as a business decision, an economic decision, probably the most important economic decision that a young person is going to make that may dictate the future of their life. I hope you will pass on this episode of Scammy to that young teen or parent that you know and let them know that they can demand a 50% discount from any school and they'll be happy to give it to them. They'll call it a scholarship, but at the end of the day, they want seats in their campus to pay their bills. And maybe parents should look at education alternatives. There's no better time in 2021 to look at education alternatives. So much education today happens in YouTube alone that parents and students should look for economic alternatives. And that's the Scammy. I hope you'll pass this on to a prospective student and help make them smarter. If you've got comments, leave them below. Love to read them. If you've got a scam you'd like me to look into, drop me an email. It's in the description field. Hit that subscription button so you never miss an episode of Scammies. Thanks for watching.
tone, Virgo, running to you, I heard her. But first, let me get you out your shell, turtle. Oh, there she go. Who you know look this good in a P? Cody, wanna record and rewind like it's T. Oh, baby, I keep you caught up like in reload.